chosen one. Pause right here. Do not scroll further. This moment is not random. Heaven itself has pulled you aside, like a mighty hand resting on your shoulder, whispering into your spirit. Listen. You have felt it before, the sense of being different, of carrying something no one around you could quite explain. You've tried to blend in, but deep within, there has always been a whisper reminding you, you were not created to be like the rest. That difference is not a weakness, nor a curse. It is the mark of one who has been chosen. It is written in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. This is not just ink on a page. It is heaven's assurance that your pain has never gone unnoticed. God himself has been your shelter. Even when you thought no one was watching, picture yourself as a single flame inside a darkened room. Small, fragile, perhaps. Yet that light changes the atmosphere. Darkness trembles not because you shout, but simply because you shine. This is who you are, a disruptor of darkness, a carrier of divine fire. That is why the attacks against you have been relentless. The enemy fears the light you carry. Let me tell you a story. There was once a chosen one who lost everything: his job, his family, his sense of purpose. For years he sat in silence, convinced he had been abandoned. But even in despair, he began to write out God's promises on scraps of paper and place them on his walls. Those words became sparks of light in his darkness. Slowly, opportunities opened, healing flowed, and he rose again, not only restored, but stronger, now leading others out of their storms. His story proves this: the waiting season is not wasted, and even in silence, God is working. And now it is your turn. Your tears have not been wasted. Your waiting is not meaningless. Heaven is announcing that you were preserved for such a time as this. The very fact you are still standing is evidence that God's hand has never let you go. So hear me. This moment demands a response. Do not treat it as another passing word on a screen. This is an invitation. If your spirit is stirring, act now. Press like. Share this message so others can awaken. And subscribe so you remain connected to the flow of these words. And if you are ready to seal this in faith, type 777 inches, the comments. It is not just a number. It is a prophetic sign that you align with heaven's completion and divine intervention. Chosen one. Heaven is speaking directly to you. God is your refuge. The light in you is unstoppable. This is the beginning of your rising. This is where the journey of these messages pauses. But your journey as a chosen one does not end here. What you have heard across these words was not random, not entertainment, not coincidence. It was the Spirit of God reaching for you, reminding you of the eternal weight of your calling. You are not overlooked. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. Take a deep breath now and let it settle in your heart. You were preserved for this very hour. Every storm that should have broken you has only revealed your resilience. Every delay that seemed like denial was in fact preparation. Heaven has always been working behind the curtain of your life, arranging pieces you could not see. Now, those pieces are coming together. There will be days ahead when you may feel weak, when your mind whispers lies and the world tries to drag you back into old patterns. On those days, remember this one truth: the God who chose you has not changed his mind. His covenant is unbreakable, his hand unshakable. The same voice that called you today will keep calling you tomorrow, and the next, until the crown he prepared for you rests fully upon your head. You are not stepping forward alone. There is a remnant across the earth, other chosen ones rising at the same time as you. Their light will connect with yours, and together you will shine as a constellation across the night sky. What once seemed like isolation will be revealed as divine positioning. So walk boldly, walk faithfully, walk with eyes fixed on the one who called you. The best chapters of your life are not behind you but ahead. Heaven has written a future filled with glory, and you will live to see it unfold. Chosen one. This is not goodbye, it is only the beginning. Stay Connie. From the very beginning, the mark of heaven has been upon you. Others may have overlooked it, dismissed it, or even mocked it. But you know in the depths of your being that you were set apart. There has always been something about you that resisted blending in. You were never meant to disappear in the crowd. You carry a seal that was placed upon you before you could even understand what destiny meant. It is not always easy to live with such a seal. For many, being chosen looks glamorous. But you know the other side of the story. You know what it feels like to carry weight in silence. You know the sting of being misunderstood by family, rejected by friends, and labeled as different in ways that felt isolating. That is the hidden cost of being marked by heaven. You see things others don't see, and you feel burdens others don't carry. The Word of God declares in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 8, "Do not gloat over me, my enemy, though I have fallen. I will rise, though I sit in darkness. The Lord will be my light." These words are more than defiance, they are a promise. Falling does not erase your seal. Sitting in darkness does not cancel your destiny. The mark of God ensures that your story will not end in defeat. Think of a coin pressed with a seal. Once marked, that image can never be erased. In the same way, your spirit bears a divine impression. The enemy may try to cover it with dirt. The world may attempt to redefine you, but the imprint of heaven remains. You are stamped with eternal identity. Let me tell you a story of another chosen one. She grew up quiet, unnoticed by most, always sensing there was more to her life than what people expected. Her classmates laughed at her dreams. Even her relatives told her to be realistic. But late at night, when the world was asleep, she would sit by her window, stare at the stars, and feel a pull inside her chest. Years later, when opportunities finally aligned, she stepped into a role that influenced hundreds of lives. What others dismissed as too much was in fact her divine assignment. That season of obscurity was not wasted, it was shaping her for visibility. You might feel right now as though you are still hidden, still waiting, still misunderstood. But hiding does not mean forgotten. The caterpillar is hidden in the cocoon before it ever flies. The seed is buried in the soil before it breaks through as a tree. The marking upon you is not wasted in obscurity, it is developing your roots. Sometimes, being chosen feels like carrying fire in your bones. You can't ignore it. Even when you try to silence yourself, something inside presses you to rise, to speak, to act. It is not ambition. It is calling. That is why no matter how many times you tried to walk away from your destiny, it keeps pulling you back. The mark of God is not something you can wash off. It is written into the very fabric of who you are. Do not despise your difference. Your uniqueness is your evidence. You were never meant to imitate the patterns of the world, because the world was never your source. You were born to stand out, to carry the fragrance of heaven into places that stink of despair. You are not strange. You are strategic. You are not rejected. You are redirected. So let the seal you carry give you courage. When people fail to understand you, remember that you were not formed according to their plans, but according to God's. When the road feels lonely, remember that others may not see the mark, but the heavens do. When the weight feels heavy, remember that it is proof you are carrying something of eternal worth. Chosen one, never forget you are marked, not by failure, not by fear, not by rejection, but by heaven itself. That mark will open doors no man can shut, and it will sustain you in seasons where others fall away. You belong to the one who knew you before time began, and his seal upon you is everlasting. And so, chosen one, never doubt the seal you carry, even in silence, even in obscurity. Heaven has not forgotten you. The fire in your bones is proof that you were born for more. Hold fast to the mark of God upon your life. It is your unshakable evidence that destiny is already written in your favor. You have walked through valleys where others could not survive. You have endured silence, endured waiting, endured the long seasons where it felt as if heaven was quiet. But every delay, every moment of stillness has been shaping you. The soil of patience is where deep roots grow, and those who carry the seal of God are called to wait differently than the rest. The prophet Hosea recorded a promise that still echoes today. Hosea, chapter 2, verse 23. I will plant her for myself in the land. I will show my love to the one I called, not my loved one. I will say to those called, not my people, you are my people, and they will say, you are my God. These words remind you that even when the world rejects, God calls you his own. You were planted, not abandoned. You were claimed, not cast away. Think about the seed hidden beneath the soil for weeks, perhaps months. It lies unseen. To the human eye, it looks dead, forgotten, lost in darkness. Yet within the hidden place, life is stirring, roots pressed downward, unseen, preparing to support the weight of what will soon rise. The waiting is not wasted, it is the secret work of strength. There was once a young man who spent years waiting for a door to open. He worked jobs that seemed beneath his calling, felt invisible in his own family, and wondered if the promises he heard in prayer would ever come true. But every day, he kept nurturing the little he had, reading scripture, writing in his journal, sharpening his gifts. When his season finally shifted, he realized the waiting had not been punishment. It had been training, preparation for a stage much larger than he imagined. Chosen one, you too are in a season that feels hidden, but heaven has not forgotten you. God himself is speaking. You are mine. The rejection you faced was not the final word. The silence you endured was not evidence of absence. It was God planting you deeper, securing your roots for a future of growth. So here is your moment of faith. I invite you to type these 3 words in the comments. I am his. Let this be more than just a phrase. It is a declaration that you believe what Hosea declared. It is you saying, "Even when the world cannot recognize me, I know who I belong to." This simple act is like planting a seed in public soil, allowing your faith to break through the surface. Do not underestimate the power of such a declaration. Every time you say, "I am His," you remind the enemy he has no claim over you. Every time you type those words, you align your heart with the eternal truth that your identity is not in circumstances, not in titles, not in the approval of people, but in the unshakable voice of God, chosen one. The soil may feel dark right now, but growth is happening. The world may not see it yet, but heaven knows. And soon, the roots will give way to the visible bloom, and everyone will know what God already spoke. You are His, forever and always. The truth of belonging changes everything. When you know you are His, you stop chasing the approval of those who cannot recognize your value. The labels others gave you lose their grip. Their rejection no longer defines you, because your identity is anchored in the eternal voice that says, "You are my people." Think about a soldier who wears the seal of his king. Even if strangers in another land mock him, even if enemies threaten him, that seal proves his allegiance and his protection. In the same way, God's claim over your life is your evidence. It is your covering. It is your assurance that even when the ground shakes, you cannot be displaced from His love. This is why declaring, "I am His," matters. It is not a ritual or a slogan, it is a weapon. When you say it out loud, or even type it in faith, you are reminding yourself and announcing to the unseen realm, "I belong to the Lord." Every doubt, every whisper of the enemy, every voice that tries to convince you otherwise must fall silent in the face of that truth. And here is the beauty. Belonging does not erase your uniqueness. It empowers it. The God who calls you His also sends you out as His light. That means your scars, your waiting, your pain, they all become part of a testimony that will awaken others. You are His. And because of that, you are unstoppable. There are moments when your life feels like a collision of unseen forces. You sense the tension between light and darkness pressing against your soul. The world may not recognize the magnitude of this battle, but you know it is real. You have felt the weight of shadows trying to suffocate your light. And you have experienced the quiet strength of God holding you in the storm. Being chosen does not mean an easy path. It means a contested path. The mark of heaven upon you has made you a target. The forces of darkness tremble when you rise because your very presence disrupts their plans. What others mistake for random resistance or bad luck, you have learned to see as warfare. But here is the truth. If the battle has been fierce, it is because your calling carries weight. The Word of God declares in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, and in this place I will grant peace, declares the Lord Almighty." What the enemy meant for destruction, God has already marked for transformation. What looked like a battlefield will become a sanctuary. The very places of your deepest struggle will shine with greater glory. Think of a storm at sea. The waves rise, the winds roar, and the ship creaks under pressure. Yet when the storm passes, the air becomes clearer, the waters calmer, and the sailors stronger. The trial that threatened to sink them became the very thing that revealed their endurance. That is what the clash between light and darkness does in your life. It does not define your defeat. It sharpens your strength. There was once a woman who felt like her life was a constant storm. Every time she tried to move forward, something rose against her health battles. Family betrayal, financial collapse. She wept, asking God if she was cursed. But through the years of struggle, she discovered resilience she never knew she had. The darkness could not take her out. And when peace finally broke through, her testimony carried power that no easy life could produce. Today she stands as a voice of hope for many who are still in their battles. Her story proves that the presence of warfare is the evidence of worth. Chosen one, understand this. Your battle is not proof of abandonment, but confirmation of assignment. The enemy does not waste his weapons on those who pose no threat. The fact that darkness has fought so hard against you reveals how much light you carry. Every push of resistance has been a backhanded confirmation that your calling is real. But here is the mystery: the greater the battle, the greater the peace promised afterward. Haggai spoke of glory greater than what came before. This means your past pain will not compare to your future radiance. The weight of warfare is preparing you for the weight of glory. Just as gold is refined by fire, your soul is being purified in the furnace of trial, not to destroy you, but to reveal the brilliance within. Look closely at your own journey. Recall the times you thought you would break, yet somehow you stood. Remember the nights you cried, yet still rose the next morning. That strength was not natural, it was supernatural. It was the power of God, ensuring that the clash of light and darkness would not consume you. You were never fighting alone. Even now, heaven is reminding you, peace is coming. Not the fragile peace the world offers, but the unshakable peace of God. The very battlefield that once echoed with the sounds of war will become the place where you find rest. The glory of your future will make sense of the battles of your past. Chosen one, do not mistake the noise of darkness for the absence of God. The presence of the storm does not cancel the promise of peace. The warfare you face is only a stage for heaven to reveal the greater glory written over your life. And so, chosen one, let your heart be steady. The storm may roar, but it cannot cancel what God has spoken. Every clash you have endured is shaping a story that will one day shine brighter than the fire that tried to consume you. Hold to this truth: peace is already written into your destiny. Glory is rising beyond what you have lost, and the very ground of your battle will soon be the soil of your blessing. The fight was never meant to end you, it was meant to reveal you. Chosen one, the sound of heaven is still echoing over your life. You have felt the shaking, you have felt the stretching, but now the call is clear. Rise into the fullness of who you are meant to be. This is not a season to shrink back. It is not a time to let fear silence you. God is summoning you to stand with courage, to step forward with faith, to walk in your assignment as one marked for glory. We are reminded through the writings of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 17, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." This is not just poetry, it is a portrait of how God sees you. You may see your scars, your flaws, your failures, but he sees someone he delights in. You may feel unworthy, but heaven is singing over you. Think of a soldier who has been hiding in the shadows, unsure if they are ready. Then, at the sound of the trumpet, they rise, dust off their armor, and take their place on the battlefield. That is you. The trumpet has sounded. You are being called to rise, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And as you rise, I want to speak to your heart with honesty. If this message has touched you, if these words have lifted you or reminded you of your identity, consider how you might respond. One way is simple: press like. Share this with someone who needs it. And subscribe, so you remain connected to these streams of encouragement. This is more than numbers on a screen. It's about weaving a net of light across the world, so no one drowns in silence. Another way you can respond is through giving now. Hear me carefully. This is not an obligation, not a requirement, not a condition to receive from God. His word is already yours freely. But just as a lighthouse must be supplied with oil to keep guiding ships through the storm, your generosity becomes that oil. When you choose to donate, you are keeping the light burning so others lost in darkness can find their way home. Picture a harp string. By itself, it makes no sound, but when it is touched, it vibrates, and the vibration carries beauty beyond itself. Your gift works the same way. Through donating, you become a string in the instrument of heaven, resonating hope in places where silence once reigned. I speak this gently, so you feel no pressure, only freedom. Whether you give or not, you are still loved, still chosen, still embraced by heaven. But if you sense a stirring to give, let it be an act of worship, a declaration that you want to see this light reach further. Chosen one, your rise is not just about you. It is about the ripple that moves through your family, your city, and even nations. Every act of faith you take becomes a spark that lights another flame. Press like, share, subscribe, or give as you feel, led not because you must, but because you want to partner with what God is doing. The world is dark, but lights are rising. You are one of them, and as you shine, remember, you are not alone. A great chorus of chosen ones is rising with you, carrying the sound of heaven into the earth. And so, chosen one, understand this truth. Rising is never meant to be a solitary act. When one flame catches, it sparks another. The light in you is designed to awaken the light in others. And together, a fire spreads that no storm can extinguish. Your courage today becomes someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. Do not underestimate the small steps. A simple word of encouragement, a single prayer whispered in the night, a quiet act of generosity. These are not wasted. They are drops of water falling into a dry land, slowly turning it into a garden. What feels small in your eyes becomes monumental in the hands of God. Remember also that every gift of love you release, whether in time, in prayer, or in support, carries a fragrance that rises before heaven. It is never forgotten. Just as a seed sown into the ground seems hidden for a time, your giving is working in dimensions you cannot yet see, preparing a harvest beyond your imagination. So step forward with steady confidence. The world is waiting for what you carry, and even when doubts whisper, let the song of God's delight over you drown out every other voice. You are rising, you are shining, and nothing can stop what has already been spoken over your life. There is a stirring in the unseen realm. The ground beneath your feet is shifting because heaven is aligning you with destiny. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but your spirit feels it doors. preparing to open, chains beginning to loosen, clarity forming where confusion once reigned. This is not imagination. It is divine alignment. The moment when heaven's timetable intersects with your life. The Apostle Paul described this reality in the letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 19. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. The earth itself is waiting for you. All of creation leans forward in anticipation, as if holding its breath, waiting for the sons and daughters of God, the chosen ones, to step fully into their identity. The world is groaning, not because it is broken beyond repair, but because it knows redemption is near and it needs you to rise. Chosen one. Think of a compass in the hands of a traveler, lost in the wilderness. The forest may be dense, the paths confusing, but the compass needle never lies. It points unshakably to the true direction. That compass is like the spirit within you. Even when life's terrain feels overwhelming, even when you cannot see the road, the spirit keeps pointing you back to your calling. You were not designed to wander without aim. You were built to walk in divine alignment. There was once a man who spent years in uncertainty. Every choice felt like a guess. He worked hard, but nothing seemed to fit. He felt like a puzzle piece forced into the wrong picture. But slowly, as he yielded to God's whispers and let go of his fear, things began to shift. A job opened that matched his passion. Connections formed with people who spoke life into him, and opportunities appeared that had been hidden. Looking back, he realized the years of wandering were not wasted. They were part of the alignment. His confusion had trained him to recognize the voice of God. So when the alignment came, he could see it clearly. That is what is happening with you. The missteps, the detours, the delays, they were not evidence of failure. They were preparation. God was teaching you to depend not on your own map, but on His compass. And now, as you stand in this moment, alignment is drawing near. But alignment demands your agreement. You cannot cling to old patterns and expect new direction. You cannot carry yesterday's chains into tomorrow's doors. This is the season to release, to trust, to step boldly into what you cannot yet fully see. Alignment is not about control, it is about surrender. Here is what I ask you to do. Right now, make this alignment personal. Declare it with your own hand. Type this number into the comments. 444. Why this number? Because 4 often represents stability, 4 corners of the earth, 4 winds, 4 foundations. By writing 444, you are declaring, I align myself with heaven's foundation. I choose to walk in stability, in divine order, in unshakable faith. It is not superstition. It is a prophetic act of agreement. Think of it as planting a flag. When a nation conquers new territory, they raise their flag as a sign of possession. By typing 444, you are planting your flag of faith, saying, this ground belongs to the Lord. My life belongs to His plan. That declaration ripples not just in your own spirit, but into the unseen, reminding every force of darkness that you are aligned with heaven. Chosen one. The world has waited long enough for you to hide. Creation groans for your revealing. Your family needs the light you carry. Your city needs the hope you embody. Your generation needs the voice you've been silencing. This is the hour to rise in alignment. Do not be afraid of missteps. Even if you stumble, the compass still points north. Even if clouds hide the path, the direction has not changed. Trust the alignment more than you trust your fear. God has not brought you this far to leave you in the wilderness. He is leading you to revelation, to stability, to destiny fulfilled. So, lift your head. The winds of alignment are blowing. The groan of creation is calling. The compass of the Spirit is pointing. And your act of faith, even in something as simple as declaring 444, becomes the sign that you are ready to step into the order of heaven. Chosen one. Alignment is here. Step into it. There are chains that run deeper than the eye can see. They are not made of metal, yet they bind generations. They are patterns that repeat in families, cycles of fear, poverty, addiction, betrayal, or silence. These chains are passed quietly, like invisible heirlooms, from parent to child, from one life into another. And yet, here you stand, marked by heaven, chosen for this very reason, to break what others could not, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. This is more than advice, it is a key. Generational chains are broken not by human effort, but by surrender to divine wisdom. When you trust fully, you cut off the authority of patterns that once dictated your steps. Think of a river flowing down a mountain. For centuries, the water has carved a deep groove, always rushing in the same direction. That is how generational cycles feel. Automatic, unstoppable, inevitable. But when a mighty earthquake shakes the ground, the river's course can shift, carving a brand new path. You are that shift. The mark of God on your life is the quake that interrupts the old flow, forcing history to bend toward newness. There was once a young woman who grew up surrounded by brokenness. Her father had walked away. Her mother carried bitterness like a shadow, and every relative seemed trapped in patterns of despair. She feared she would repeat the same. But one day, she made a different choice. She trusted God's word over her family's history. She prayed not only for herself, but for generations yet unborn. Today, her children walk in joy and stability, free from the chains that marked her childhood. Her life became the turning point. Chosen one. You may see patterns in your family and feel powerless to stop them. But the very fact that you recognize them is proof that God has given you vision others did not have. Where others only felt weight, you see the root. Where others accepted cycles as normal, you sense they can be broken. That awareness is not by accident. It is your assignment. Breaking generational chains often feels like walking against the wind. Every step meets resistance. You may face misunderstanding, even rejection, from those still caught in the pattern. But remember, when you choose to stand, you are not only fighting for yourself, you are fighting for your bloodline. You are writing a new story that your children and their children will read with freedom in their bones. It is important to know that breaking these chains does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet faithfulness, choosing kindness where your family knew anger, choosing honesty where lies once ruled, choosing prayer where silence once reigned. Every small act of obedience becomes a hammer strike against invisible chains. Over time, links shatter, patterns unravel. The story changes. Imagine a candle lit in a long corridor of darkness. Behind you, the hall is filled with shadows stretching back generations. But the moment you strike your flame, the shadows begin to recede. And not only for you, those who walk after you will walk in the light you ignited. That is the legacy of a chain breaker. You will face moments when doubt whispers, "You are no different." You will fall like the rest. But remember Proverbs' promise, lean not on your own understanding. The breaking does not depend on your strength alone. God Himself straightens the path before you. His power is the force that severs the old grooves and carves new rivers of blessing through your family line. Chosen one, see your fight for what it truly is. You are standing at the fault line of history. The ground shakes beneath you, not to destroy, but to reset. The chain that held generations is snapping in your hands. You are not only chosen, you are appointed to change the future. You are the living proof that the past does not decide the future. What once chained your family will not bind you. You are the line in the sand, the interruption in the pattern, the one who dares to walk differently. Heaven has trusted you with this role because you are strong enough to carry it. And as you walk forward, remember, freedom flows not only to you, but through you. Every prayer you lift, every choice you make, every act of faith sets a new foundation for those who will come after. The story is rewritten because you said yes. Strength is not forged in comfort. It is formed in fire. The seasons you thought would consume you were in fact shaping you. Every hardship, every delay, every unanswered question has been chiseling your soul into a vessel that can carry glory. Trials are not wasted when you belong to God. They are classrooms of endurance, places where you learn who you truly are. The prophet's words still echo across centuries. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 10, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This is not a vague comfort. It is a declaration. You are not left to stumble through storms alone. The very hand that stretched the heavens is holding you steady. Think of a blacksmith at his forge. A piece of raw iron, ordinary and unshaped, is placed into the furnace. Flames lick its surface until it glows red. Then the hammer strikes again and again. Sparks fly, metal bends, and from the fire and blows emerges a sword strong enough to withstand battle. That is what your trials have been. You have not been destroyed, you have been forged. There was once a man who lost everything in a single year: his job, his home, his health. Friends turned away, and he thought his life was finished. Yet in the emptiness, he discovered a strength he never knew. He learned to pray not for escape, but for endurance. He found that even at his weakest, God's strength filled him. Today, his scars speak louder than his victories. They tell a story of resilience, of faith that could not be stolen. Chosen one. You may wonder why your road has been harder than others, but understand, those who carry greater light walk through deeper shadows. The weight you have carried is proportionate to the calling you bear. While others were being prepared for small battles, you were being trained for war. Your endurance terrifies the enemy because it proves you cannot be broken. Strength forged in trials is unlike any other. It cannot be faked. It cannot be taught in classrooms or bought with wealth. It comes only through nights when tears soaked your pillow, through days when you rose, despite exhaustion, through moments when you whispered prayers that felt like the last thread holding you together. Those moments have become your anointing. Picture a mountain climber. Every step upward burns. Every breath grows thin. Yet with each movement, their legs strengthen. Their lungs expand. Their will hardens. When they finally stand at the peak, they see a view no one at the base could imagine. That is what God is doing with you. Each painful step has been building capacity for heights others cannot reach. Do not despise your scars. They are not signs of weakness, but of survival. They are proof you passed through fire and emerged still standing. They whisper to the world, "Here is one who endured." And beyond that, they whisper to the heavens, "Here is one who can be trusted with greater responsibility." End 4. Chosen one. Recognize the truth of Isaiah's promise. You are upheld by his righteous right hand. That is why you did not collapse when the weight felt unbearable. That is why you rose when you thought you had no strength left. It was not your own power, it was his strength carrying you. So walk now with quiet confidence. The battles behind you were not wasted. They were the forge. The blows that seemed meant to destroy you were shaping you into a vessel fit for honor. And the God who strengthened you yesterday is the same God who will sustain you tomorrow. Chosen one, your trials have not been in vain. You are stronger than you know, forged for a future brighter than you can see, upheld by a hand that never lets go. Your journey has been proof that strength is not measured by how little you suffer, but by how deeply you endure. The very moments you thought were your end became the birthplace of your resilience. What felt like breaking was really becoming. Do not fear the memory of fire. Flames that once surrounded you can no longer consume you. Instead, they now illuminate the steel you carry inside. You are living evidence that trials are teachers, not tombs. And as you move forward, carry this truth. Every scar tells a story heaven can use. Your strength is not for you alone. It is for those who will look at your life and find courage to stand. You are walking testimony that God sustains. Every chosen life eventually arrives at a crossroads. One path is wide and easy, filled with compromise, where many walk without resistance. The other is narrow, steep, demanding, but it leads to the crown. You cannot travel both. At some point, you must decide, will you settle for comfort, or will you step into destiny? Scripture says in the letter of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial. Having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life." These words are not distant promises, they are the reality for those who endure. The crown of life is not given cheaply, it is reserved for the ones who refuse to bow to compromise. Think of a runner approaching the finish line. Muskelsash, lungsburn, and every fiber of their being screams to stop. But in the final stretch, the decision must be made: collapse in exhaustion or push through the pain for the prize. That image is your life right now. The crown is closer than you realize, but compromise lurks at the edges, whispering that surrender would be easier. There was once a man who had the chance to betray his values for success. Wealth and recognition were placed before him. If only he would silence his convictions. He wrestled in the night, weighed the cost, and chose integrity over compromise. Though the world laughed, in time, God elevated him beyond anything that temporary success could offer. His story is a reminder. Crowns are gained not by shortcuts, but by endurance. Chosen one. You may be tempted to shrink back, to lower your standards, to silence your voice so the world accepts you. But remember, your crown cannot be bought with compromise. The trials that press you now are the very tests that qualify you for glory. This is why I invite you to make a public declaration. Type these words in the comments: crown over compromise. Let it be more than just text. It is your choice, your banner, your seal of decision. By writing it, you are saying, I will not trade my destiny for temporary ease. I choose the path that leads to life. Oh, such declarations matter. They strengthen your spirit, silence the lies of the enemy, and remind you of the weight of what you carry. Every time you choose crown over compromise, you prove that your faith is real. Chosen one. The path before you is not easy, but it is holy. The crown is not far from your head. Keep running. Keep standing. And let the world see that you were not created for compromise. You were created for the crown. The choice between the crown and compromise is never abstract. It shows itself in the daily decisions, what you allow into your heart, the words you choose to speak, the company you keep, and the boundaries you honor. Each small decision is a stone on the path that shapes your destiny. Step by step, you reveal whether you are walking toward the eternal crown or drifting into temporary compromise. Compromise often disguises itself as relief. It whispers, you deserve a break. You've carried enough. Just take the easy road. But the truth is this: the easy road never ends easy. It leads to regret, to lost opportunities, to a dimming of the very light you were meant to carry. The crown path may look harder now, but it leads to joy that cannot be stolen. Consider the story of Daniel. He was offered the chance to eat at the king's table, to blend in, to compromise his convictions for comfort. Yet he chose faithfulness in what seemed small, and God exalted him to influence empires. His story proves that refusing compromise today positions you for divine promotion tomorrow. When you declare crown over compromise, you are not just making a statement, you are setting a boundary for your soul. You are deciding ahead of time that no temptation, no pressure, no promise of ease will lure you from the path of destiny. You are saying, my faith cannot be bought. My crown cannot be traded. Understand this: every crown comes with weight, and every compromise comes with chains. The weight of the crown is responsibility, but it also carries authority, joy, and eternal reward. The chains of compromise may feel light at first, but they grow heavier with time, pulling you further from who you were created to be. Chosen one. The decision is before you daily. Refuse the glitter of compromise and embrace the eternal value of the crown. Each time you stand firm, you are proving that you belong to the ones who endure, and the crown of life awaits you. You have been walking through a season where the battle has felt relentless. Arrows of doubt have been aimed at your mind. Shadows of fear have tried to wrap around your heart. Yet, in the midst of it all, you are still standing. That itself is evidence of something greater working in you. God has not left you unguarded. Even now, He is clothing you with armor, not the kind made by human hands, but the armor of heaven, fitted perfectly for your soul. The Spirit spoke through Joshua. Chapter 1, Verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord is with you. These words are not encouragement only. They are a command and a promise woven together. You are told to be strong and courageous. But you are also promised that you will never walk alone. Think of a knight preparing for battle. His armor is not ornamental, it is survival. Each piece has a purpose: the shield to block arrows, the helmet to guard the mind, the breastplate to protect the heart. In the same way, God is fitting you with spiritual armor, truth to guard your thoughts, righteousness to cover your heart, faith to shield your steps. You are not stepping into life's battles unprotected. You are walking clothed in strength. And as you take this in, I want to pause and speak gently about how we move together in this journey. If these words have strengthened you, if you feel the Spirit confirming them in your heart, one simple act you can take is this: press like, share this message, and subscribe so you remain connected. Each action may seem small, but together they form a network of light. Like lanterns placed along a dark path, so no traveler walks in isolation. There is also another way you can be part of this rising through generosity. Hear this carefully. Giving is never a ticket to earn favor with God. His love and His promises are free. But just as a soldier's armor must be maintained, sharpened, and repaired, the work of carrying messages like this forward requires fuel. When you choose to donate, you are not paying for the word. You are building a bridge across valleys of despair, allowing hope to cross into lives you may never meet. Think of a relay race. One runner cannot finish the course alone. The baton must be passed. Your donation is like placing the torch into the next runner's hand, ensuring the flame of truth keeps moving forward. Without that passing, the light could stop. But with it, the fire reaches further than you could ever carry on your own. There was once a woman who gave what little she had toward the spreading of the word. She thought it was too small to matter. Yet months later, she received a message from someone halfway across the world whose life had been saved because that word reached them. She realized then her gift had become a ripple in an ocean of grace. I want you to feel no burden, no pressure, only invitation. Whether you give or not, you are still fully loved, fully chosen, fully embraced by God. But if you sense a stirring, let giving be an act of worship, a declaration that you want to see light travel into more places, into more hearts. And know this: seeds sown in faith never vanish. They rise again as testimonies, as breakthroughs, as lives transformed. Chosen one, your armor is already being fitted. Your steps are already being ordered. But the journey is not meant to be walked alone. Press like, share, subscribe, or give as you feel led. Every act, every gesture, every gift becomes part of the greater story of light, pushing back darkness, of chosen ones rising together. So, walk clothed in courage. Walk with the shield of faith and the sword of truth. Walk, knowing that wherever you go, you are never alone. The Lord Himself goes with you, and the crown of victory is already waiting at the end of the road. Your steps are not wasted, nor are they random. Every battle behind you has prepared you for the strength you now carry. The armor upon you is not decorative. It is proof that heaven equips you for what lies ahead. Take courage, for each scar is now a shield, each wound a reminder of victory. And as you walk forward, Do not forget this truth. You are never alone. The one who called you has promised to walk with you into every valley and onto every mountain. With his hand upon you, no force of darkness can prevail. Sometimes you catch glimpses of what lies ahead, moments when your heart leaps because you sense something greater, waiting. It is like standing at the edge of dawn, watching the first streaks of light paint the horizon, knowing the full sun is not far behind. This is what it feels like when God grants you a vision of your future. It is not meant to tease you, but to anchor your faith in the unseen. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, "What no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him." These words unveil a truth far larger than our imaginations. What is ahead of you cannot be contained by what you have seen before. God's plans are not recycled. They are uniquely designed for you. Think of a tapestry. Up close, all you see are threads, tangled and chaotic, colors that seem to clash. But when you step back, the full image emerges, a design far more intricate and beautiful than you imagined. That is how your life feels right now. Up close, the pieces may look random, but from heaven's perspective, they form a masterpiece in progress. There was once a young man who dreamed of influencing nations, yet for years he worked in obscurity, stacking shelves at a store, wondering if God had forgotten. But during those hidden years, he developed skills, humility, and endurance. When the moment finally arrived, he stepped into a role that connected him with leaders he once only read about. Looking back, he realized the vision had never been lost. It had simply been prepared. Chosen one. The glimpses you receive are not accidents. When your spirit stirs at the thought of a future brighter than your present, it is heaven's whisper. Do not dismiss it as fantasy. These are prophetic previews, divine sparks meant to keep your heart alive during the waiting. But with vision comes responsibility. A seed of vision must be protected. Just as a farmer covers tender sprouts until they are strong enough to withstand storms, you must guard what God has shown you. Not every ear can hear your dreams. Not every heart can carry your hope. Some will misunderstand. Others may mock. Protect the vision as you would protect a flame from the windshield it until it grows strong enough to shine on its own. Vision also requires endurance. There will be times when your reality looks nothing like your promise. The danger in those seasons is discouragement, the temptation to conclude that the vision was false. Yet it is in those very seasons that faith does its deepest work. Faith holds on to the unseen when the seen screams otherwise. Faith trusts the sunrise even in the midnight hour. Picture a sculptor standing before a block of marble. At first glance, it is unremarkable, heavy, and unshaped. But in the sculptor's mind, the image is already complete. Every strike of the chisel removes what does not belong, until the hidden beauty emerges. That is what God is doing with you. The chiseling hurts, but it is shaping you into the vision He already sees, finished. Chosen one. Do not settle for less than what has been revealed to you. Do not let the weight of the present erase the promise of the future. What God has spoken will come to pass in its time. The vision is not a lie. It is a map guiding you forward. Even when the road bends, hold fast. Protect what you've seen, and let the previews strengthen your resolve, for soon the dawn will break, and what once felt like a dream will stand solid before your eyes. The vision is real, and it will not be delayed forever. The vision within you is a gift, but it is also a compass. It points you forward when everything around you tries to pull you back. Even in the darkest valley, it whispers, "Keep walking. Light is ahead." That whisper is proof that God has not abandoned His plan for you. Do not despise the days of waiting. They are not wasted time. They are foundation stones. Just as a tree takes years to root deeply before it can stand tall against storms, your hidden years are strengthening the roots of your destiny. What is unseen today will one day support the visible harvest. Chosen one. Lift your eyes. What God has promised is not fragile, nor is it fading. The vision will live, because the one who spoke it is faithful. Hold it close, guard it well, and walk on with hope. There are moments when heaven interrupts your journey with alignment so clear, you cannot deny it. It is as if the veil between seen and unseen grows thin, and the voice of God speaks directly into your spirit. This is the way. Walk in it. Right now is such a moment. The words reaching you are not random. They are an invitation into a deeper flow of obedience, a call to step fully into the rhythm of heaven. Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." This peace is not a fleeting feeling, it is a mantle. It is the atmosphere of heaven resting on you. Where the world gives fragile, temporary relief, Jesus gives an unshakable foundation of peace. That peace is your evidence that you are aligned with the will of God. Think of a river flowing steadily through a dry land. Wherever it moves, life springs up, trees root, grass grows, and animals gather. That river is like the peace of Christ in your spirit. When you align with His voice, the dryness in your life begins to bloom again. Where once there was barrenness, fruit begins to appear. Alignment always brings life. There was once a man who spent years chasing peace in all the wrong places. He pursued possessions, relationships, achievements, but every success left him empty. Only when he surrendered, aligning himself with God's call, did he find the deep peace that no circumstance could shake. His story reveals this truth. Real peace is never found in striving, it is received in surrender. And here is where your response matters. In moments like this, when heaven interrupts, you cannot remain passive. You must take hold of the invitation with your own hands. That is why I am asking you, chosen one, to declare your alignment publicly. Type the number 555 inches, the comments. Why this number? Because 5 is the number of grace, and when it is tripled, it represents an overflow of divine grace and alignment. By writing 555, you are declaring, I step fully into the grace of God's alignment. I choose peace over fear, obedience over hesitation. And do not see this as superstition. It is a prophetic act. Just as Israel built altars of stone to mark where God spoke to them, your comment becomes a marker in your journey, a place where you can look back and say, here, I chose alignment. Here, I embraced peace. Think of a traveler reaching a crossroads. One sign points toward chaos, the other toward peace. Standing still will not carry him anywhere. He must decide, By declaring 555, you are choosing the path of peace, stepping onto the road heaven has prepared for you. Chosen one. Peace is not weakness. It is not passivity. Peace is power. It is the quiet confidence that no storm can shake, the steady ground beneath your feet when everything else trembles. That peace is your inheritance, your gift, your weapon, and it comes when you walk in alignment with God's voice. So, embrace this moment. Do not scroll past it. Do not let the tug of distraction steal what heaven is releasing over you. Align yourself. Declare your grace, and walk in the peace that Jesus promised. The world is searching for answers, but you already carry the river within. When you align, that river will flow, and lives around you will be refreshed by what you carry. Chosen one. Comment 555. Embrace your alignment, and let the peace of heaven reign in your heart. This is your moment to step into grace overflowing. Peace, as Jesus promised, is not the absence of storms, but the presence of strength within them. When you carry His peace, you can walk through fire without being consumed, and through waters without being drowned. It is a shield around your mind and a river flowing through your heart. That is why the act of alignment matters so deeply. It unlocks this peace in your daily walk. By declaring 555, you are not only speaking grace over yourself, you are also inviting heaven's grace to cover your family, your work, and your future. It is a decision to place every area of your life under divine order. The number becomes a testimony, reminding you that you chose God's peace over fear, trust over anxiety, and faith over doubt. Remember this truth. Chosen one. Peace is your portion, not your pursuit. You don't chase it. It is gifted to you when you align. Guard it well. Walk in it daily, and let it be the sign to others that you are truly set apart. There is a shift that takes place when you begin to recognize who you truly are. For so long, you may have walked with hesitation, shrinking back from opportunities, doubting the authority placed within you. But once your eyes open, once your spirit awakens, everything changes. You begin to move differently, not as one searching for identity, but as one carrying it. This is the season when you rise in new authority. We find in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 39, "But we do not belong to those who shrink back and are destroyed, but to those who have faith and are saved." These words are a line in the sand. They separate hesitation from courage, retreat from advancement. You are not called to shrink back. You are called to step forward with faith. And in doing so, you walk in the authority of one who belongs to God. Think of a lion cub. For months it walks timidly, unaware of the strength it carries. But one day, as it grows, the roar inside emerges. The cub that once trembled at every sound begins to walk with boldness, because it recognizes its nature. That is what happens to you when your identity in Christ becomes more than theory, it becomes reality. You no longer whisper when you were meant to roar. There was once a man who always lived in fear of people's opinions. He avoided leadership, stayed in the background, and silenced his own ideas. But after years of feeling small, he encountered the truth of his identity in God. Slowly, he began to speak, to step forward, to carry himself as one chosen. In time, those same people who once ignored him began to look to him for guidance. His authority was not manufactured, it was discovered. Chosen one, you carry the same potential. The authority of heaven is not for a select few, it rests on all who belong to him. When you understand this, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking permission from the world to be who God already declared you to be. Authority is not arrogance, it is alignment with truth. Walking in new authority means you speak differently. Words that once trembled with doubt now carry weight. Your prayers shift from begging to declaring. You realize you are not trying to convince God. He has already given you his promises. Your role is to enforce them, to stand firm as one who knows the ground beneath their feet belongs to heaven. It also means you act differently. Decisions, once clouded by insecurity, become clear. You stop moving based on the opinions of others, and you begin to move in obedience. Authority is not about domination, it is about responsibility. It is the weight of carrying light into dark places, the courage to stand where others retreat, the wisdom to lead when others follow. Picture a key in the hand of its rightful owner. That key opens doors others cannot access. It was crafted for that lock, designed to fit perfectly. You are that key in the hand of God. The authority you carry is not random. It was designed for specific doors, specific assignments. No one else can open them, because they were entrusted to you. Chosen one. You may still feel small at times, but faith is not about feelings, it is about truth. And the truth is this: you do not belong to those who shrink back. Every time you step forward in faith, you are living out the authority given to you. Every time you refuse to let fear dictate your actions, you are proving the word of Hebrews true in your life. So, rise. Walk in the authority already written into your destiny. Carry yourself as one chosen. Speak with the voice of heaven, and act with the courage of one upheld by God's hand. This is your season to step into the fullness of your calling, not timidly, but with boldness, with clarity, with faith unshakable. Chosen one. The authority is already yours. Now it is time to walk in it. Authority is not something you need to chase. It is already sealed within you. What you are stepping into now is simply the awareness of it. Like a crown placed on your head long ago, you are only now learning how to carry its weight with grace and confidence. And as you move forward, remember, your authority is not for yourself alone. It is a gift entrusted to you so that others can find light through your courage. When you walk boldly, you give others permission to do the same. This is how the chosen lead, not in pride, but in example. When you begin to walk in authority, something remarkable happens. Opposition reveals itself. People you thought were allies may suddenly shift. Those who once smiled may begin to whisper. Circumstances that felt calm may stir with tension. This is not because you are wrong, it is because your rising exposes what was hidden. Enemies, whether visible or invisible, cannot stay concealed when the light shines. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 18, verse 28, You, Lord, keep my lamp burning, my God turns my darkness into light. The moment light enters, shadows lose their hiding place. This is what happens when you step into your identity as a chosen one. The darkness around you cannot remain comfortable. Think of a room long kept in darkness. Dust gathers, insects crawl, corners fill with cobwebs. but strike a match. And suddenly, everything is revealed. The filth was always there, it simply could not be seen until the light arrived. In the same way, your presence, your prayers, your faith, bring light into places where deception thrived. The exposure may be uncomfortable, but it is necessary for transformation. There was once a woman who prayed faithfully for her household. For years, peace seemed absent. Conflicts erupted, and lies were woven like a web. But as she persisted in prayer, one by one, hidden truths came to the surface. Betrayals were revealed, secret struggles confronted, and though the process was painful, it paved the way for healing. Her faith had acted as light, and in the light, the enemy's grip was broken. Chosen one, do not fear when enemies appear. Their revelation is not a sign of your defeat, but of your impact. If nothing in you threatened the plans of darkness, opposition would never rise. The fact that you see resistance is proof that your light is working. But exposure is not just about others, it is also about you. God, in His mercy, allows even the hidden flaws within your own heart to be revealed, not to condemn, but to heal. A wound must first be uncovered before it can be cleansed. In this sense, exposure is an act of love. It uproots what could destroy you later, and it positions you for lasting strength. Picture a battlefield at dawn. As the sun rises, enemy lines that were hidden in the night become clear. The army can now prepare, strategize, and fight from a place of knowledge rather than fear. That is what God is doing with you. He is shining light so you no longer stumble in uncertainty. Enemies exposed cannot win. Their power lies only in secrecy. Understand this. Being chosen does not exempt you from battles, it equips you to win them. Enemies revealed are not enemies victorious. They are simply opponents stripped of disguise. When you see them clearly, you can overcome them with the strength God provides. So when betrayal surfaces, when hidden schemes are uncovered, when resistance rises, lift your head. Do not collapse in despair. Remember that light is doing its work. What was meant to remain hidden has been forced into the open because of the presence you carry. Chosen one, your light is not fragile. It is relentless. It shines not because of your effort, but because of the one who keeps your lamp burning. As long as His hand rests upon you, darkness cannot overcome you. Let enemies be revealed. Let truth come forth. Let light expose what needs to be seen for. In all of this, victory is already written on your side. When the shadows scatter and the truth stands uncovered, it may sting at first. Revelation often feels like a wound because it forces you to see what you once ignored. But a wound exposed can finally be healed. God allows the light to fall on hidden places, not to shame you, but to save you. Enemies revealed are not an interruption to your journey. They are confirmation that you are walking in the right direction. Light always provokes resistance. Darkness never protests unless it feels threatened. So, if you have felt the pressure rise, rejoice quietly within your soul. It means your presence is shaking what was once unshakable. Remember too that every revealed enemy gives you clarity. You are no longer fighting shadows. You can see the lines clearly. And with clarity comes authority. The Spirit equips you to confront what you once feared, because there is no power in a mask once it has been removed. Chosen one, Let this strengthen your heart. Do not despise the season of exposure. It is both protection and preparation. What is revealed now will not destroy you, it will position you. And when you stand in the fullness of your calling, you will look back and see. Every enemy exposed was a step toward your victory. Across the earth, something is stirring. It is not confined to a single city or culture. It is a sound rising from countless hearts that have been marked, called, and awakened. This is the global awakening of the chosen ones. Perhaps you have felt it, an inner knowing that you are not alone, that others like you are rising in their own corners of the world. The remnant is gathering, not by accident, but by divine design. The words of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, remind us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." This is not just a metaphor, it is your identity. You are not a flicker meant to be concealed, but a flame destined to be seen. Together with others, you form a constellation across the night sky, light scattered yet connected, guiding generations through the dark. Think of a choir. One voice alone is beautiful, but when joined with many, a harmony emerges that shakes the atmosphere. That is what is happening right now. As chosen ones across the globe find their voices, the melody of heaven grows stronger. Your life, your testimony, your courage, these are not isolated notes. They are part of a symphony that declares the glory of God in the earth. In this moment, I want to gently invite you into something greater. If you have felt the resonance of these words, if your spirit has whispered, "Yes, this is me," then take a step of response. Press like, share this message, and subscribe, not as empty clicks, but as the lifting of your voice into the choir. Imagine each action as a candle placed in a vast cathedral, lighting the way for countless others who wander in. And there is one more way you can let your light join the global symphony. Leave a comment below, but let it be more than words. Let it be like carving your name into the stone walls of a holy temple. A witness that says, "I was here. I heard. I chose to rise." Every comment is another voice in the choir, another flame in the constellation, another ripple in the river of awakening. Beyond this, consider the beauty of generosity. I say this carefully, because it must never feel forced. You are not buying favor or trying to earn grace. Those are already yours. But just as a river needs streams feeding into it, this flow of messages continues because hearts pour into it. When you choose to donate, it is like planting another tree in a forest of light, providing shelter for travelers who have grown weary. Picture a lighthouse standing alone on the edge of the sea. Its beam cuts through the fog, guiding ships safely home. But even a lighthouse needs oil to burn. Your support is that oil. Every gift you pour out becomes a beam stretching further, ensuring that no sailor is lost in the storm. I recall the story of a man who once gave quietly, never expecting recognition. Years later, he received a letter from a stranger in another country who had encountered a message that changed his life. That stranger wrote, "I am alive because you gave." The man wept, realizing his act of generosity had become a ripple in a sea of grace. This is what your giving does. It echoes far beyond what you can see. And yet, I must say again, it is never demanded. It is an offering of love, an act of worship, a choice born out of gratitude. Whether you give or not, you remain chosen, embraced, and delighted in by God. But if your heart stirs, know that your seed will never vanish. It will grow into testimonies you may never hear until eternity. So here is the vision before you. Press like, share this message, subscribe to remain part of the rising. Leave a comment that marks your voice in this awakening, and donate only as your spirit desires. Each act is a brushstroke on a canvas larger than any one of us. Together, we paint the picture of a world lit by chosen flames. Chosen one. Lift your eyes. You are part of something global, eternal, unstoppable. The light within you was never meant to stay hidden. Joined with the remnant, it becomes a blaze that darkness cannot extinguish. This is your hour to shine, not alone, but as part of the awakening. The awakening is not distant, it is now. With every step you take, with every spark you release. The chorus grows louder. You are not a bystander to history. You are the living flame. Heaven has chosen to ignite this generation. There is a moment in every chosen life when the hidden becomes visible, when what was promised begins to manifest in ways that no one can deny. For so long, you may have carried your calling quietly, like a treasure hidden in clay jars. You endured misunderstanding, walked through shadows, and held on to hope in silence. But now comes the season when heaven crowns you with glory, not as decoration, but as recognition of what has always been within you. The Apostle Paul assures us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion in Christ Jesus. The work is not left unfinished. The God who started shaping your life will not abandon the process halfway. The crown of glory is evidence that he has been faithful all along. Think of a seed planted in the soil. For months, it is unseen, pressing roots deeper into the ground. At first glance, there is nothing to celebrate, just dirt and silence. But suddenly, when the time is right, a sprout breaks through, and in due season, fruit appears. That fruit is not created in the moment of harvest. It is simply the revelation of what has been growing in secret all along. Your crown of glory works the same way. There was once a young woman who endured ridicule for her faith. Friends mocked her devotion. Family doubted her choices, and society dismissed her dreams. Yet she kept walking, sowing seeds of faith in prayer and kindness. Years later, she stood in a place of influence where even her critics sought her wisdom. What had once been hidden, faith became visible glory. Her crown was not given by the world, but revealed by God. Chosen one. Understand this. Glory is not vanity. It is not about applause or admiration. Glory is the visible weight of God resting on your life. It is the light shining through you, the fragrance of heaven clinging to your steps, the undeniable evidence that you have been with God. When He crowns you, people will see not just you, but the one who has carried you all along. Picture a potter at his wheel. He shapes clay patiently, pressing, molding, and smoothing. At first, it is just a lump, ordinary and unimpressive. But after fire refines it, after pressure shapes it, the vessel emerges, beautiful and strong, ready for display. You are that vessel, The crown of glory is not the clay itself. It is the radiance that appears once. The shaping and the fire are complete. The crowning also signals transition. You are not meant to remain in endless preparation. There comes a time when you must step into the role you were created for. The crown is not a finish line, but a commissioning. It is God saying, "Now you are ready. Walk in the authority I have placed upon you. Shine with the glory that reflects me." You may wonder, why me? But the answer is simple: because you endured. Others may have turned back, but you kept pressing. Others may have silenced their voices, but you kept speaking. Others may have doubted, but you kept believing. Glory crowns not perfection, but perseverance. Chosen one, do not fear the weight of this glory. It will not crush you, it will carry you. The same hand that places the crown upon your head will sustain you under its weight. You will not be left to shine alone. The light within you will always be fueled by the Spirit of God. So lift your head. The season of hiding is giving way to the season of revealing. The crown of glory is not only promised, it is here. Wear it humbly. Walk with it boldly. And let it testify to the faithfulness of the one who has always been writing your story. This crowning is not just for you. It is for those who will look at your life and find hope. Your story becomes a lantern. Your endurance, a map. Your victory, a song others can follow. The glory on you is an invitation for others to believe again. Do not hide it. And do not shrink back in false humility. Glory was never meant to be buried. It was meant to shine. When heaven crowns you, it is so the world can see what God can do with a surrendered life. Walk forward, not in pride, but in radiant confidence, knowing every step declares His goodness. The crown is not only your testimony, it is your ministry. Every journey has its pinnacle, and yours has led here to a moment of final charge, where heaven speaks with burning clarity. You have walked through silence, storms, rejection, and fire. But each chapter has brought you closer to this truth. You were never abandoned, never overlooked, never forgotten. You were chosen. The voice of Christ speaks with urgency in the book of Revelation. Chapter 3, verse 11. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. These words are both promise and warning. Promise that what has been given to you will not be lost in vain. Warning that distraction, compromise, or fear must not steal the crown already set upon your head. Chosen one. Understand this deeply. The greatest danger at the edge of fulfillment is not failure, but surrendering too soon. Many grow weary just before the dawn breaks. Many let go when the crown is already within reach. But you are not among those who shrink back. You are called to hold fast, to cling to what God has placed in you with a grip that no storm can loosen. Think of a runner at the last stretch of the race. Muscles ache, lungs burn, and exhaustion screams louder than the cheers of the crowd. Yet it is in those final steps that victory is sealed. One more push, one more breath, one more stride, and the crown awaits. That is where you are now, standing in the tension of exhaustion and triumph, called to press forward until the finish is crossed. There was once a man who labored for years in a work he believed God had entrusted to him. Just as the fruit of his labor began to bud, voices around him told him to quit. Discouragement whispered that it was not worth the cost, but he refused. He clung to the promise, kept watering the soil, kept pressing forward. In time, the vision bloomed, and he stood crowned, not because he never faced opposition, but because he never surrendered to it. His story reminds you, the crown is not for the strongest, but for the steadfast. Your charge now is to endure with eyes fixed on eternity. The world will continue to offer distractions, pulling at your gaze with promises of comfort or shortcuts. But remember, the temporary fades, the eternal remains. What God has placed upon your life carries weight beyond this moment. To lose sight of it is to trade treasure for dust. Chosen one, lift your eyes beyond the immediate. See yourself not as weary, but as victorious. Not as fragile, but as unshakable. Every battle you faced has brought you to this place. Every scar is proof that you are still here, still chosen, still crowned. Let the words of revelation anchor your spirit. Hold fast. Let no one take your crown. So this is the charge for you. Walk forward as one who knows the end has already been written. The victory is not uncertain, it is secured. The crown is not in question, it is promised. Your only task is to hold on, to remain faithful, to keep burning with the fire that no storm can extinguish. Chosen one, stand tall. The season of doubt is over. The hour of revealing has come. You are crowned, not for your perfection, but for your perseverance. Now carry that crown into the world as a testimony that heaven still reigns, and that God's chosen still rise. The crown upon you is not fragile gold. It is the unshakable mark of endurance. It is proof that storms did not drown you, fires did not consume you, and trials did not break you. You wear it not because the path was easy, but because you remained. Every glance at this crown should remind you of the one who placed it there. It was not earned through striving, but entrusted through grace. The same hand that shaped your story is the hand that secured your victory. Your crown is His delight, resting visibly upon your life. And this crown is not merely for you to admire, it is a signal. It tells the world, light still conquers darkness. Faith still triumphs. Chosen ones still rise. Others will look at you and find courage for their own race. Knowing crowns still await those who endure, so guard it well. Let no voice steal it. No fear shake it. No compromise trade it away. Walk with dignity. Live with boldness. Shine with humility. For this crown is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter where heaven's victory flows through you to the earth. Chosen one, you have walked with me through every word of this journey, from the whispers of calling to the weight of endurance, to the revelation of your crown. The thread has remained the same. You are chosen, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine design. And now, as we close this message, I want to speak directly into your heart. The journey does not end here, it begins here. You carry a flame that was never meant to stay hidden. When you let it shine, you give others permission to find their own light. And sometimes, the simplest actions are what carry that flame further. Press like, share this message, and subscribe. Not because the algorithm matters, but because your light joins a constellation that others will see. Each action is another spark in a growing fire across the earth. And do not underestimate the power of your words. Leave a comment below. Let it be more than text on a screen. Let it be your voice carved into stone. A public declaration that you heard. You received. You chose to rise. Every comment is a seed of courage. Another echo in the choir of chosen ones, awakening. Finally, I speak gently of generosity. When you choose to donate, it is not payment, it is participation. It is placing another brick into the bridge that carries hope across valleys of despair. It is passing the torch so the flame reaches further than your own hands could carry. Give only if your spirit stirs, and let it be an act of beauty, not obligation. Whether you give or not, you remain loved, marked, chosen. So rise, shine, carry your crown with dignity, and let your flame join the great fire heaven is igniting across the world.